So what were some of my first teaching experiences like? Well, I'll tell you what, it takes a while to figure this out. Teaching just doesn't happen. Well, it can just happen, but I was more idealistic, I think, when I was younger, and I started doing it. Some of the big mistakes I made was not double checking the scheduling. Like I did schedule a class in the first few years for Thursday afternoon. I scheduled a salve making class, and it was on Thanksgiving. Someone actually called me. Oh, do you really teach a class on Thanksgiving afternoon? I just went through the list and did like 8 Thursdays and hadn't thought about what was happening on those Thursdays. Yeah, that was interesting. But I think it was interesting to me as a teacher when I first started. I was doing lecture classes. I would do a series of 6 or 8 lecture classes. And one class would be on calming herbs, and another class would be on herbs for the lungs, that kind of thing. And another class on herbal preparations. And what I was doing was getting people interested to take my apprenticeship, where you come out in the woods with me for the spring. And I started taking people out in the spring as an apprenticeship. My concept was this information should be available to everybody. And I was running a tincture business, anyone that wanted it. So my first couple years, I did it for free. And you would pick herbs, and you get to keep some of the herbs that we picked, and then some of them would go to me, and that way I'd be able to make my tinctures with them. And that didn't really work, because if it's free, people aren't committed. I hate to say it, but that's what I had to learn, that people weren't committed if it was free. If it rained, they wouldn't come out because it's raining. But if you pay money, then you will show up even if it's raining, at least in the Pacific Northwest. It's different for different places, certainly. But that's what I really realized is you have to charge money. And you have to charge money, and you have to charge what it's worth. And then you'll get students who are willing to buy the book, that are willing to do homework. I don't give homework, but if you want people to do homework, and this even goes for those simple 3-hour class lectures. And if you have it for free, very few people show up, or they'll change their mind. And if you charge even a small amount, then people will show up. I think that's like some of my hardest lessons, because I still, I'm idealistic. I would prefer to not charge money. I prefer, but unfortunately, I need to charge money because I need to live too. And even to this day, it's hard for me to charge enough money for me to make a reasonable living on my first year field work, because it is so labor intensive and there's so many things that we do. It's a drag. And some would say, well, people don't have money, they deserve to have the opportunity, and that's true. And you can still give people who don't have money the opportunity. So what you do is you charge what it's worth, and then you make arrangements with people for who don't have the money for it, and so they can still take it. And it has a value at that point than if it was just all free. That's so funny. I feel like it's so nitty gritty teaching experience, but I think that's probably what I think was what I learned the most.